Good afternoon and good morning, everybody, and welcome back to the Blind Press YouTube channel. And it is Wednesday, and it is Canadian Wednesday. So, a welcome, of course, to the channel, Dr. Functional. How are you, sir?
I am good, and because it's now 12:01 in the afternoon, I can drink this beer.
All right. There you go.
And like I was just telling BP before the stream, bake some freshly baked bread, beer. Just gonna let it cool for a bit, and then after the show, oh man, those sons of bitches are. And they were nice long French bread loaves. So
Now, do you do it all by hand, or do you have a bread machine?
all by hand.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I used to have a bread. There used to be a bread machine in the restaurant I used to work at, but never ended up using it because unless you had to make a really big batch, but most of it was there wasn't a lot that had to be made. So I like doing it by hand. There's just something fun about folding that dough and beating the shit out of it and
It's
forming
cathartic.
it. Oh yeah. Plus anything to take up some time in the kitchen on
There you
those.
go.
Lazy days where there's not a whole lot going on. Woo!
And we've got technically until the 20th before restrictions are lifted, but I doubt they're going to be lifted. I really do.
Hi, Kitty. Yeah, and I mean, like, I don't go very. I don't go all over the city, but at least in my little pocket of the city, there doesn't seem to be like life hadn't really changed much aside from like half the businesses closing. You know what I mean? Like on my level.
Yeah.
Like I still go to the store. Yeah, sometimes I wear the facial diaper because I have to get into an Uber, and even though I'm allowed to not wear a mask, they still force you or say get out of the Uber. But most of the store owners in my neighborhood and everything, they don't really care about me wearing a mask.
Yeah.
I run into the occasional Karen, but I mean, life just didn't seem to change. People are still exercising in the park across the street. They're still hanging out when it's sunny. People are still talking on the street and all this other stuff. And it's just like,
same here.
I don't see. I mean, obviously, we don't have the same problems here in Ontario with the enforcement of such things as they do in Alberta, who has taken it to the nth degree, or Quebec, who have taken it even further.
Well, there are a couple of places, like there's a church in the Tri-Cities that was holding in-person services, and their doors have been forced to close. I think their name is Trinity Church or something like that. I can't remember.
Yeah, and of course there was also Adamson Barbecue.
Yep.
And a couple other businesses that didn't get any real limelight or press coverage, but they did the same things. And I think rather than pay the fines, they just complied. But yeah. I mean, it's ridiculous. They want to increase spending by such an exponential percentage, and yet they're closing half of the businesses which pay quite a bit of taxes. Makes no sense. And the weird thing is, here in Ontario, we have a quote unquote conservative prime minister. I mean, premier. Sorry, and then Quebec and Alberta have liberal representation.
Yeah,
and it's the same song and dance. Like, people are still being affected. I mean, when I say I personally am not affected, I'm just a person who obviously I don't work, and there's just go about with daily life. I don't see the business side firsthand of what's going on. I'm sure if I was in a restaurant, I'd be unemployed right now. I would have been struggling to collect CERB and all that other bullshit where I just would have wanted to work.
Yeah. No, I often wonder how my uncle is doing, because he's an executive chef at one of the universities. He cooks for like all the professors and like that. So I'm just like, I wonder how this has affected him.
Especially since like over almost half of the students across Canada have gone home.
Yeah.
Half of the students that come to our unis and colleges
are international students.
Yeah, they're foreign students, which I don't have a problem with. There's no problem with. But when they all have to go home and half of your your student body is just gone. And then the other half, there's a combination of online classes and classes being shut down.
Yeah.
That really, I can imagine that really affecting him and all the other essential staff.
Yeah.
I don't consider all the bloat staff that have happened over the last 2 decades to be essential staff. Sorry.
No.
You diversity inclusion types can go fuck yourselves.
Yeah,
you don't deserve work, even though they're still getting paid.
No. It's very true. And we've and our intrepid prime minister. So I grabbed a quick video. It's like 53 seconds.
This is gonna infuriate me, isn't it?
And it's apparently what we need to do to reopen properly, to have a good summer.
Hey, Pat.
That's what he wants. It's Justin Trudeau's basically recipe for a good summer. So we're gonna take a quick look at that. If Chrome,
I got a good recipe for him. Let's throw him in the oven.
That'll work.
Jeez, I have never hated a political figure as much as I hate him in my entire life.
You know, I'm with you.
Trudeau is evil, Costin. It's just it's so beyond, and it's nationwide.
Yeah. And even liberal-minded people are starting to go, you know, I really want him gone.
Yeah.
When people in your own party are starting to go, you know, I don't like you. Oh, I'm sorry. Do you want out?
Hi, kitty. You're part of the show now, cat. Oh, man. Well, while she lets the cat out, I'm just... Even in the United States, you have certain states that are still behind the Biden administration and the Democrats. Up here, no... nationwide, everybody hates this guy.
Yeah. It's crazy. I've never seen a prime minister. You get even Harper. Even Harper didn't.
Which there was bipartisan disdain for. Yeah, but he did not get nearly this much hate. Even premiers like Bob Ray, who gutted our educational system and allowed for this curriculum to sort of seep its way in, was not as bad or as much hated. And I was just mentioning while you were letting the cat out, even in the States, some states are still kind of behind Dems and Joe Biden. Up here, none of the provinces like Trudeau.
No.
On the grander scale. Again, it's the political power that's in Southern Ontario and Southern Quebec that have elected him and kept him in office.
Unfortunately, yeah.
But everybody, the common person, the working man, everybody hates Trudeau. The world hates really Trudeau.
True. The world does hate Trudeau. I don't know people, anybody that really, truly likes him.
Yeah, because even when I'm watching other shows like Monkey or Sinatra or whoever else I'm watching online, and they say something about Canada, 5-6 years ago, I could have said, whoa, know your role. Let's check ourselves and get the facts. Today, I'm just sort of wait, actually, no, you're right. We are just a complete and utter joke because of our leadership.
Yeah, but I still kind of get a little bit annoyed because I'm glass houses.
Yeah. But even the opposition is pathetically weak and can't really seem to do anything against somebody who seems to be so incredibly weak.
Yeah,
politically.
He's so I bet you if you were to shake hands with Trudeau, he would
such
do
a limp-wristed blind thrapple.
Hello, Scribbles.
What's good, our American friends? Scribe, Pat, good to see you. Okay, so let's get to this video because I'm in a good mood. You need to bring me down a peg.
So this video is titled "Justin Trudeau says these 2 things need to happen before we can have a good summer." So I am quickly just getting to the share process.
Okay. Please do tell us, Mr. Drama Teacher,
Yes,
what
tell
I need
us.
to do in my life. Yeah, thank you.
Yes, let's hear what we need to do. So this is quite a short clip, but let's see here.
Oh, such a punchable face.
We can't ease public health restrictions until cases are way down. We all want to have a summer where we can see our loved ones and invite friends over for barbecues. We can have that summer. We can have a one-dose summer. But for that, two things need to happen. First, restrictions need to remain in place until cases go way down with more screening, testing, and contact tracing. We need to successfully limit community transmission.
How the fuck do you limit community transmission?
Two things need to happen. First, you put the charcoal in the barbecue, then you light it.
Because even the CDC and the goddamn WHO, two institutions I don't like very much, have even said that according to their numbers, outdoor transmission rate, unless you're right up in somebody's face, outdoor transmission rate devolves down to next to zero. It's 0.001%.
Yeah. That's why I get, like, there have been a couple of parents at the park they've been wearing masks, and their kids have wanted to go play on the playground, and they're like, are you gonna wear your mask? And the kid's like, no, I don't want to wear my mask. And they're like, well, then you can't go play with the other children. It's like, and then of course the kids,
who they themselves have a 0.001% transmission rate outdoors.
Yeah.
That by 0.00, like it's so insane that we are so scared of something that is just like a nothing burger. And oh well, don't you want to save grandma? Grandma who has type 2 diabetes and is on death's door anyway, and who's already going to die very soon. Yeah, it's going to be sad, but you know what? You can't hold the other 99.99% of society in fear in these draconian restrictions over nothing.
Yeah.
So if they are the ones who are at the most risk, maybe they should quarantine and isolate until this thing seems to blow over. And don't get me started on Health Toronto, Health Ontario, and Health Canada all lying about their fucking statistics.
And Toronto Toronto just trying to hide their numbers in everyone else's numbers. Like,
yeah.
No, we're not the biggest place of transmission. Shh.
And yet Toronto Public Health has come out and been called on that their numbers were false. And they said, well, yeah, we kind of inflated the numbers. And then nothing happened of it.
No.
If somebody lied that egregiously in a court of law, they would have been held in contempt of court and been arrested.
Yeah.
These people should at the very least, be ejected from their positions. Theresa Tam should have been thrown out on her fucking bony little ass months ago.
And I love how she's, even if you've been vaccinated, you should still wear a mask, and you should wear a mask while you're having sex. And it's like, shut up.
Thanks, Fauci Light.
But and listen to how seriously he's trying to sound. Like, he's trying to sound super serious. I'm waiting for him to pull an Al Gore from South Park.
Super serial, you guys.
Super serial. Like, okay, here we go.
Second, as Dr. Tam said, at least 75% of Canadians need to have received their first shots.
Then maybe you should have bought more shots. Maybe you shouldn't have closed down the vaccine manufacturing capacity that we had in-house.
That we now rely on India for like 85% of all pharmaceuticals. And okay, granted, it wasn't just him, but you were still responsible as the prime minister for the last several years to ensure that we can be like. Do you remember a time, BP, where when we were younger, Canada was self-sufficient? We traded to enrich our lives, not to fill the base needs of our society.
I remember when people used to, want to come to Canada because Canada was a good country.
Oh, that's some good beer.
I remember when uh, we were. Do you remember being taught to be proud of being Canadian in school? Because I do.
Oh yeah. And now, like I said, not so much. I can't.
Now it's every day during the morning announcements. It's we acknowledge that we are on this whatever tract of land that was promised to this whatever tribe of Six Nations people, and we acknowledge their contribution to our community, and blah 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 blah.
Then maybe you racist retards should maybe put some more pressure on the government to get another governor general.
You're right.
But of course, they don't know how fucking anything works, so they don't know that the governor general is there to help the native peoples and enforce those treaties. They don't care.
Nope.
They don't give a good goddamn because they're too uninformed to know anything. Like, I'm kind of livid that there hasn't been a replacement governor general in the last few months, and it doesn't really affect me in any way. It's just how the system should be.
They're just trying to skate by. Like they're trying to I know what they're trying to do. They're gonna try to not have a GG until an election hits.
Mm-hmm.
So that they
I think that they're gonna try to
all sorts of shenanigans.
Well, because it's the GG is usually somebody who keeps the federal government, this douchebag on screen, in check with certain things.
Yeah.
That's just one check on his power. Look at all the increases in government spending and government positions. They're putting their people, and by their people, I don't necessarily just mean liberals. I just mean anybody who's willing to toe the line.
Yeah.
Whether they be NDP, Conservative Party of Canada, doesn't matter. And the only person fighting for any semblance of reason and liberal, like actual classical liberal values, him too, but I'm drawing a complete blank on his name. Jesus. Was recently just in Alberta as well. Got a huge ticket for speaking at a freedom rally.
Oh shit! What is his?
The other
name?
French dude.
The
PPC.
Maxime Bernier.
Bernier, thank you.
See, I don't know whether I can, because he's such a party jumper. That's the problem. Like, because he was. He was a Bloc, and then he was a Harper guy, and then like.
Because I think he sees the writing on the wall. He's gone through the system, and he says, "Well, this is no good, so I'm going to go over here. Well, these people are just as corrupt as the last. Oh, I'm going to go over here. These people are even more corrupt than last.
Yeah,
so you know
true.
what? Screw it. I'm flipping over the table.
Party.
I'm going to start my own party." Which, I don't think he's going to have any power. So we have to put our trust into people like Polyev to try to get something going in Parliament to just.
I will say Maxime Bernier is a good speaker, though.
Yeah. And he hasn't been ousted from social media yet.
Yeah.
Why do you think they want that kill switch on the internet?
That's
so they
the
can
thing.
say...
They want to go after people like him. They want to go after Rebel Media. They want to go after, stuff like that.
If Rebel Media wasn't such a joke, they'd be such a powerhouse.
They would.
You know what I mean?
They really misused their
Because
platform.
Ezra's got good points. He just spouts insane shit the other half of the time.
That's the and this is the problem. It's the same problem with Alex Jones.
Yeah.
Right? The problem with Alex Jones was that he delivered his messages as a crazy man. Like he sounded crazy. And there were a couple of things that he was dead set on being fake that weren't.
Yeah.
And that really ruined his credibility and kind of made him into the
Pariah.
the pariah that he turned
I mean,
into.
look at his whole thing about the Pizzagate type stuff.
Yeah.
He wasn't on board with Pizzagate per se, I don't think, but he was talking about the left-wing elites in Hollywood and in government who trafficked in children. And lo and behold, we learn about Epstein, we learn about Weinstein. What a time to be a Jew. And all these other people with their direct connections to them. And it's nowhere on anybody's lips in the media anymore. It's certainly not the corporate media, but like even smaller media pundits, they don't talk about it anymore. This should be like consideration number one. These are children.
Yeah. And then whenever you say something like that, you get made fun of by people. The whole freedom of speech things. Oh, somebody think of the children. Yes. You know what? Sometimes think of the fucking children.
When children are being trafficked and raped? Gee, you think I should think of the children? You
dumbass. You don't need to Maud Flanders me, asshole. You know what? In this instance, yes, I am gonna think of the children.
Yeah. Hey, Selecta Boy. Hey, Sir Adamantine. Welcome.
So let's finish this little thing here.
Got a couple seconds
And we
left.
need to keep ramping up those second doses. If we can do this, then we can have a more normal, better summer.
Go fuck yourself.
Weren't you saying this about we need to make sure that we have vaccines rolled out for Christmas
Now,
so that we can have a better Christmas?
I will have to give him that one point. There is quite a bit of vaccine hesitancy in Canada.
Yes.
Because most people are like, well, I'm healthy. I'm under 50 or under 40 or under 30, whatever. I don't need to get this experimental medication.
Yeah.
Which they're right, but they're ridiculed and derided in public squares.
Oh, and it drives me crazy that these people who are saying, I'm very hesitant about taking a thing that is experimental and not fully approved yet. And they get lumped in with the anti-vaxxers.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's the other thing too.
Like
they're like, oh well, you better, there's a reason why we don't have polio epidemics today. Oh, you mean the vaccine that took almost 14 years to develop and then another 4 years of testing?
Yeah.
Because the initial vaccines are not the same vaccines that we get today.
Nope.
They are safer. And in fact, they're trying to develop an oral anti-polio vaccine that hasn't been working. But they're trying to take it that next step and perfect it so that oral vaccines will be more accepted by, and I hate to use this word because it's got such a negative connotation, but less developed or more primitive nations.
Yeah.
Because, they're scared of needles, which I can kind of understand when you're not as developed and have science so readily available to you that you can research this kind of stuff.
Oral vaccines, it's also, it's better for that reason, and you've also got a better, more easily administered vaccine for kids.
That too. Yeah. Pinkalo, you're not wrong, but I mean, I'm just saying, like on a pure basic level, like if you're healthy and you don't have any sort of like comorbidities, blah 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 blah. Like I would never give Monkey hate because he's got diabetes. Yeah, get the jab, dude. You're one of the high risk people. I'm not. I don't think you are. Like we're.
No, I don't. No, I don't think I get like the most comorbidity I might have is seasonal allergy asthma. But that's about. My mother, on the other hand, is prone to bronchitis and pneumonia pretty much every year, and she's in her 50s.
There you go.
So
that's perfect. That's a perfect example of someone who should probably get the jab.
And my sister's a type 1 diabetic, so
again probably should get the jab because these are well established comorbidities that we know COVID SARS-CoV-2 could hit them very hard.
Yeah.
Could. So even if they did have these anybody had these comorbidities, but they're maybe not as social in public and all that, maybe they can make that decision. Again, that's up to you on a personal level and your doctor.
Yeah.
This is not up to Facebook or Twitter or the news media or your governmental officials, because of the survival rate. Exactly. Now, if we were talking, polio again, like there was a sudden polio epidemic, then yeah, because that stuff is brutal and killing off 30-40% of your population. That's a big thing. We're nowhere near those numbers.
No. This isn't polio, this isn't smallpox. This isn't like and I have seen tweets where people have called this the deadliest virus known to man. And I'm like, would you stop?
How old are you? Fucking 4? Yeah, maybe in your lifetime, kiddo, but not in...
Not even. Because the Ebola thing happened in 2014. Like
24. Yeah, well, that's more than 4 years ago.
That's true.
Hi, Gun Fox, first of all. And second of all, I've always been in favor of the great American empire, and it wouldn't instill any sort of new position of leadership between United States and Canada, but it would go back to the days of like the 80s and 90s where we had that mentality of open borders between one another. Lots of free trade. We are each other's biggest trade and travel partners. So let's continue to work together and keep things open between one another with Trudeau, and then now with Biden. Like there's been this lessening, this tightening of the borders since Bush era, and it's not been good for either of us.
No.
Economically or socially.
Yeah.
Thank God we have the internet in the state that we do, BP, because look at how many great interactions we have as a people with each other, with our American friends. There's some of our most close friends are Americans.
Right. Exactly. We've got Scap and Prospero and Hammer,
Harry, Irate, everybody in chat. I'm sure our Canadian peers feel the same way.
Yeah. Like, I've got a group of really close friends who are blind and are parents, and they're all American. Like, it kind of sucks because they're all American, and we can't, we can't get together and have play dates with our kids because even
without COVID restrictions, there's a little bit of a, that would be quite a trek.
Yeah. But I still at least I have those connections with people who have similar, they're blind, they have kids, and there's
certain unique trials and tribulations and experiences that kind of sets up.
Yeah.
And having that sort of peer group really helps because, you might have discovered something and you can share that with the group, and then, maybe it works for most of them. And then maybe you come up with something and it doesn't really work for the other parents. So it's sort of just a trial and error. It's just a sense of community. And the internet in its good capacities has opened up our personal communities immensely and created such great, oh man. See, look at the lumber thing that's been going on with the United States. Now, if we had a more open policy, a more free trade policy, we could have been like, okay, so you know what, we'll tell you what we'll do, our American friends. Since you're having such a problem with lumber, we will increase our caps on softwood exports to you guys. Help you even out.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, Canada, you're having a little bit of corn shortage. God knows we have enough corn, but just as an example, you know what?
Yeah.
We'll help you out. It's a you scratch my back, I'll scratch your back, without any sort of governmental, officiating behind it. It's just nations working together that, we have such a great border. We have such a long and rich history with one another. We shouldn't be throwing that away.
No, we shouldn't.
Or making it more difficult.
We are, and we've got this. Unfortunately, each country has kind of developed this, we're a little better than the other mentality.
Yeah, but I think between us, it's more of just like friendly ribbing on them for the most part. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
even during like Minions last night, they're like, oh, so there's gonna be a little bit of a boots and maybe some beer drinking. And you know what? There you go, guys. For any of the Minions watching right now, I'm drinking beer and I just said a boot, eh? Oh, so what's next on the docket?
Well, for some reason, fucking Twitter has changed its layout.
Again?
Again.
Did they just do it like last year?
And
I don't know. I'm not on Twitter.
I'm trying to fucking get to the DMs with Pinkalo, and it's only showing me my DM with myself.
Oh, weird.
Because
I'm of the mind that Twitter was just a mistake.
I'm starting to agree with you.
Like when things like a Discord, they have restrictions for good reason. They're a private entity, fine, but they're not going to shut you down for having differences of opinions. They will shut you down for things like CP or excessive violent content or something. Like if you're sharing like back in the Wild West days of the internet, you could find things like people jumping off of buildings or committing suicide. You could find beheadings. You can find videos of like that. But now they've been sort of relegated sort of to the darker corners of the web, which is fine.
Yeah.
But they don't like suspend, or they basically leave it up to the individual server's mod team and owner of the server to sort of self-regulate for the most part.
Yeah, for the most part, they leave you alone. Unless your server is, like, rife with, horrible stuff.
And, I mean, Twitter, Facebook, such a double standard. Like, how many tweets I've seen from people, like, who... Gad Sad, who's a Jew, getting all this anti-Semitic hate. Myself, who's Jew and white, who when I was on Twitter and when I am in discussion forums on Facebook, get plenty of anti-white racism, anti-Semitic racism.
Yep.
Online. Nothing ever happens. Nothing ever comes of it. I can mention, how I think George Floyd was a drugged up career criminal, useless lowlife, and I can get a suspension for 7 days, for 30 days, for whatever, just cause.
Yeah.
Because you can't badmouth St. Floyd.
Ha! I'm smart.
SMRT.
I erased my name in the text box and typed in Pinkalo's name, and it popped up the DM with Pinkalo. I'm smart. I'm a good problem solver. Oh my god. Okay, so here we go. We have a thing about Krista Freeland. This will make us all happy, not. It's from
you just want to wake the dragon here, don't you?
I do.
Oh!
So this is from the Financial Post. And I'm just going to quickly jump over to the share screen button. Big Sur has really so the newest update of Big Sur, which is the Mac operating system, has just slowed everything the fuck down. It's crazy.
Wasn't Big Sur like some Buffalo company that had sold waterbeds? I remember that on the local Fox affiliate. Those commercials.
I think you might
Come
be
to
right.
Big Sur. They probably closed down because a lot. Oh shit! Smacked my mic. Because there was a lot of stuff in Buffalo that's closed down in upstate New York.
I remember. I haven't had cable in so long.
Yeah,
but I remember those lawyer commercials.
Yep.
Hurt in a car? Call William Mattar.
Yes.
444-4444.
Wrongly fired from your job? Call J.G. Wentworth now.
I have an annuity and I need cash now.
God. I hate her face.
So this is the problem with Canadian TV, is it's so inundated with like
Americana,
American like, and I don't mind American stuff, like I really don't, but it would be nice to showcase some of our stuff on more than just the CBC channel.
Well, I mean, you say that, but there's still a lot of stuff that's being produced and shot.
That's true. A
And
lot of American TV is shot up here.
like the expanse has exploded, and that's, I mean, yes, BC is California North, and we are New York North.
Well, I was gonna say, think how many times has Toronto been used for New York in movies?
New York,
Like,
Chicago, Philadelphia. Like, we can basically make it look like any American city just by clever shooting. Obviously, we're not going to put Skydome or the big phallic CN Tower in the shot, but you can clearly see the RBC building. You can clearly see TD Tower, and you're like, hey, that's not the Avengers building, that's TD Tower.
Okay, let's read about this annoying ass person. So they're calling her the Minister of Everything. Minister of Everything pins her hopes on a consumer-led rebound. Oh, so she's relying on us.
Dude, I just got douche chills. You know, goosebumps on the back of your neck when you're just like so disturbed by something. Minister of Everything. I don't know if that's just clever writing from the Financial Post, but it's so apt. It fits with her in things she said and how she talks to. Ugh.
Well, like I said, I hate that, you know how the Harry Potter freaks compare everything to Harry Potter?
Yeah.
But
Dolores.
there is one person who gets that comparison, and it's this bitch. She's Dolores Umbridge. She's fucking Dolores Umbridge.
And for our American counterparts who may still not get it, like, she's our Kamala. I really feel like she's controlling JT, and she's the mastermind behind the face.
She's smarter than Kamala, which is terrifying.
Oh yeah.
She's Kamala with brains. It's yeah. Also, fuck California. So it's kind of fun. I agree with you, sir. So this is, like I said, from the Financial Post. So it says, not long ago. Why did I swipe there? That was a really stupid thing to do. I just fucked everything up. Okay. So she is finance minister and deputy prime minister. So she's still holding two things.
Mm-hmm. Like I was saying, BP, he wants to consolidate power.
Yep. So this says, not long ago, Chrystia Freeland had few friends in the White House. That's very true, because
she was one of the biggest reasons why Trudeau wouldn't come to the table with Trump on a few issues.
Wasn't there like photos of her and Trudeau with what's his fuck from France, Macron,
yeah.
And they were all giggling at Trump, like pointing and giggling at Trump or something like that. Like a stupid little high school clique, or that's like.
It seemed that way because Trudeau got snubbed by several world leaders.
Yeah. Yeah.
Alarm's going off. Or sirens.
They're coming to take you away, haha. They're coming to take you away, ho ho, hee hee, ha ha. No, so okay. During bumpy negotiations to overhaul the NAFTA trade agreement. Isn't NAFTA trade a redundant phrase? Shouldn't you just say overhaul NAFTA?
Yeah.
Anyway, which includes the U.S. and Canada, Donald Trump let it be known he was no fan of Justin Trudeau's then foreign minister and negotiator, while Freeland touted the benefits of what?
Multilateralism and multiculturalism.
Multilateralism and multiculturalism in the Trump administration, saying America first, and used trade tariffs as a foreign policy tool, which he has the right to do.
And you can be America first and still be very cordial and beneficial to one another. Again, like I was saying earlier, historically, we've done that. And for them to make it seem like it's Trump's fault, it's not. It's because he didn't want to have to deal with these topics that keep creeping up, like multiculturalism. No, we have a monoculture. You guys have American culture and you have Canadian culture.
Yeah. And everyone's like, white people can't have culture. Okay.
Because they obfuscate these terms and they change the terms. Multi-ethnic, that's fine. I don't care who my neighbors are or where they come from in the world, as long as they're here legally. And as long as they adhere to Canadian values. I don't care about African values, Ugandan values, or French values, even British values. I want Canadian values.
Yeah.
I don't care about Christian or Jew or Muslim values. I want Canadian values.
Yeah.
Canadian culture.
Yeah. Exactly. Like, I don't care what you do in your own home, at all. As long as it's legal and you're enjoying yourself.
Yeah.
And your family is safe, then have at it, right? But it's so. This says with Trump now out of the White House, Freeland, 52, who became Canada's finance minister last summer. Why does it matter how old she is? Anyway, is eager to emphasize how blissful U.S.-Canada relations have become. Oh, Jesus Christ.
They're so out of touch with the people.
She says she has the highest possible regard for Janet Yellen, the Treasury Secretary, with whom she has had some very good conversations and is philosophically in terms of economic thinking well aligned.
Spend!
Right?
Tax businesses into the ground. Shut them down if you can't tax them to death. Okay, I'm good.
Even on the question of vaccine exports. Oops, what are you doing, voiceover? Even on the question of vaccine exports, and Biden has reserved Biden has reserved homemade jobs for Americans, while Canada's vaccine imports have been plagued by delays, which is true.
Mm-hmm.
Freeland sees the glass as half full. Of course she does, because she's special. The new U.S. administration was extremely supportive, she says, in agreeing to advance 1 million doses of the AstraZeneca jab to Ottawa, which is
1.5 million doses. Yeah,
which is now not being administered in Ontario. I have a story about that too. Let's see here. So Christia basically has her head in the sand.
Well, I mean, oh my God. I mean, at least the Americans now know what we've been going through for the last 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
7 years, however long it's been since Trudeau.
Too
Like,
long.
now that they've got the Biden administration, they see all the bullshit that's been going on. At least we've won small battles here and there, especially in Ontario with getting rid of Wynne.
Well, and that's the thing. Everyone's like, we need to get rid of Ford. We need to get rid of Ford. It's like, do you really want the other choices?
Well, it's the pendulum. It's the
Do
pendulum
you
effect.
want Horvath? Do you want
No.
Do you want whatever the fuck Jim whatever his name is, some nobody that no one's ever heard of who's now in charge of the Liberal Party?
You know what? I might be willing to give a nobody a shot. You know, I'd seek out information on their strategy and their potential policies, regardless of party, because I'm a person over party kind of guy. But I mean, with the kind of similar to the military vetting down south, what they've been going through the Liberal Party and kind of ousting and bumping aside people who were less in tow with the overall Liberal Party's narrative.
Yeah.
I don't see that being a possibility.
No. We have an extremely collaborative relationship with this administration, she tells the Financial Times, on everything, including the vaccines.
Because you're globalist fucking assholes.
Foreign policy is one area of alignment that has brought relief in Ottawa. The two countries are wary of Vladimir Putin's Russia. Really? Russia is who you're worried about?
Oh yeah, because they're making money hand over fist with China.
And staunch support and staunch supporters of Ukraine's
sovereignty.
Sovereignty, yeah.
I can get behind that.
Yeah, me too. But why are they so gung-ho for the Ukrainians, which they should be, and not so gung-ho for the Uyghurs?
Oh, because it's a distraction. Like I said, follow the money. They're making money hand over fist.
Yeah.
Freeland, Trudeau, all of their lackeys in positions, their collaborative business interests here and in China. They are making money hand over fist, and everybody else is getting fucked. We're giving money, tax money, to China and Chinese businesses.
Costin, you forgot Ernie Eves.
Yeah.
The reptilian kitten eater, as Dalton McGuinty once called him.
I think Wynne was the worst out of all of them, but that's just my opinion.
I agree.
You don't allow somebody who sexualizes children to remain in power.
No.
At all. That's the first. That's the first and last straw against somebody I have.
So it says the Biden administration has also vowed, she says, to help Ottawa secure the release of Michael Spackver and Michael Kubrick, who have been detained in China for over 2 years as retaliation for the detention of unpronounceable, because voiceover fucked it up, the executive for Huawei. Really? You need Biden's help to get the two Michaels home? Really?
I think they do, but I think it's all just lip service. I don't think that either are going to give a shit. If they really cared, if they truly and honestly cared, they would have been like, okay, well then you can't do business in our country. We're seizing all your assets in our country, and go fuck yourself.
I agree. I think...
Oh, and by the way, those Muslims that you've been keeping in concentration camps, yeah, that doesn't sit with us either. Goodbye.
Yeah.
And then on the global stage, put pressure on other Western nations to take the same stance. But they won't. Again, you follow the money. They're making too much goddamn money.
That's true. It's very true. It is the country's economic responses that show that we have a clear sign of mutual understanding. Oh, is it? Biden's U.S. dollar... wait, I missed a word.
1.9 trillion.
$1.9 trillion dollar stimulus package is certain to boost Canada, which sends 3/4 of its exports to the U.S. Politically, this has given Freeland the opportunity to persuade fiscally conservative Canadians to embrace a more Keynesian approach. No, we should not support the U.S. printing more money at all. That's not going to be good for the... Okay, when the U.S. economy collapses under all the printed money, and people have to pull a 1945 Germany and wheel their wheelbarrows full of greenbacks up to the grocery store to buy one loaf of bread.
They won't be able to afford our exports.
Yeah. Like, why on earth should we be behind Money Tree Go Burr or Money Print Go Burr?
Because they're doing the same thing here, BP.
I know, and we shouldn't be behind that either.
No, well, most people in Canada aren't, but again, for some reason, they still manage to keep in power and not be... I mean, they're challenged, but nobody up here seems to really like it. I say up here, but like in especially Toronto, a political powerhouse of a city, they don't seem to give a shit.
Yeah.
Or they don't seem to be too well informed. Like my entire family is full of, liberal supporting or NDP supporting for lifers.
Right.
And, we'll try to have a conversation on some of this. Be like, do you really support the fact that we're just printing money? They're like, what do you mean we're just printing money? Don't we need new bills every year? I'm like, no. That's not what it's just like, and you vote, sis. I love you, but you shouldn't be voting if you don't know anything. I'm sorry.
That's the terrifying statement. What do you mean printing money? Don't we need new bills every year? Oh God.
Yeah, well, that's your average NDP supporter, right?
That's scary as fuck.
At least in my experience.
Yeah.
They are so politically ignorant. And it's the party, it's, again, former Communist Party of Canada. It's the party of, oh, somebody please think of the children. So you get those good sound bites. You get the people who are completely politically illiterate and ignorant.
Yeah.
And you get their votes.
Yeah.
That's why young people, the latest polling, young people ages 18 to 34, I think it was something like 44 or 34% are in favor of the NDP in Ontario.
Ooh.
That scares me.
That scares me.
That terrifies me. I know liberal conservative up here, it's pretty much the same shit on the different side of the coin.
Yeah.
You're still getting your hands covered in shit, whichever one you touch. But at least with our parliamentary system, you can vote for the person over the party. You vote for your local representatives based on their platforms. It's why, my family seems to think that I'm a party jumper, which it's like, well, no, I'm literally voting for the candidate that I'm voting for. I don't care about the party. The parties suck.
They do.
I will sit there and I will talk when they canvass door to door. What is your platform? Okay, thank you. Next person comes. What is your platform? Okay, now that gives me something to think about. I'm going to weigh the pros and cons of both. And then, sometimes I vote conservative. Sometimes I vote liberal.
Yeah. It depends on what the person's platform is. And the person who is running in that riding's platform is.
Yeah, because remember the lie we were sold by Trudeau. I voted for the first time for Trudeau. We had
electoral reform,
which was first and foremost, and then national legalization and decriminalization of weed, of marijuana, which was good. Yeah, great. That should have been done so long ago. That was just icing on the cake of voter reform. Yeah. A more electoral college system to give each province equal say on the federal level.
And the only promise he ever kept was pot.
Yeah, even the minor things he completely reneged on.
Yeah.
And in fact is going the opposite way when he talked about free speech.
Yeah.
Canadian values, Canadian I don't want to say nationalism because it was that, again, nationalism has been tainted. The word has been tainted.
Right.
But national pride in saying we are Canadians and we are proud to be Canadian.
Exactly.
I'm proud to be able to spit in any direction and get cuisine from around the world. I can get Jamaican one way, I can get authentic Chinese the other way, I can go another way and get authentic Thai another way and go get like authentic Israeli or Egyptian cuisine right next to each other.
Yep.
The same strip mall, Israeli restaurant, Egyptian rrestaurant.
See, that's what's
it's
great
the
about
great,
Toronto. That's
exactly.
what's awesome.
And Canada as a whole, there's that melting pot. We did, but the thing is, you have to melt into Canadian culture, Canadian values.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna read one more paragraph and then we'll go to the next story. So
Okay.
it says
I'm gonna bloodwing, so
Freeland's-
still listening.
Okay. Freeland's first budget outlined in April features $101 billion of fresh spending over 3 years. Now, keep in mind this budget was released in April. She's been the financial minister for a year, and the Liberals had not released a platform, a budget since their election in 2019. Just keep that in mind.
Canadian money printer go burr, eh?
Yep. The measures throw a lifeline to businesses and workers. Bullshit! And also fund long-term projects such as a national child care and early learning system. Yeah, I would not send my kid to a $10 a day daycare. I'm sorry.
I hate that we're spending. Because not only do we keep throwing money at programs like that are non-essential and non-safety net orientated, welfare basically, just public welfare, public spending, all the while cutting things that maintain that kind of economic prosperity here. Because again, yes, I am a very liberal-minded person. I like the social safety nets. I like being able to be a prosperous nation and saying, you know what? Our dollar is fucking skyrocketing. We have a robust, booming economy. Yeah, let's have a child care program. Let's increase funding for schools and student loans and make things more accessible to people. Lower taxes. Because we're doing so well, but we're not.
No, we're
and
not.
That's the problem. We're not doing well. Our dollar keeps tanking, and yet they just want to keep spend. New programs.
Well, and the thing about something like a $10 a day daycare is the minute you make it so parents only have to pay $10 a day.
Mm-hmm.
The minute you as a government are going to start cutting corners so you don't have to fund as much daycare. So then the standards in the centers are going to plummet. Health and safety regulations will not be met as stringently. There will be kids getting way more sick than you ever thought possible from daycare.
Yeah.
Kids will be getting hurt. There won't be any learning. Like right now, yes, I do have subsidy for the 4-year-old, right? Because I'm on disability.
Sure, yeah.
But before then, we were paying for him to go to part-time, and you know what? It was pricey, but they were teaching him. They're teaching him stuff. They have activities. They have, bicycles to ride and a playground
Socialization
to play
with other
on,
kids.
and socialization, and they feed them. And
sure, yeah, great programs.
They there's no way that standard would be kept up.
And of course not, because one of the greatest, I'm not trying to deride anyone. I came from a very poor socio-economically background with my family.
Yeah.
But if you look at the statistics, that is the number one factor for troubled kids, violent kids who then grow up to be violent teens and violent adults. Socioeconomic status is the number one contributing factor. So when you have low standards mixed with statistically going to be more problematic children than not, that's not a good recipe. That cake is not gonna rise.
Yeah, it's gonna be bad.
Yeah, because look at the public education system. At least there you have, like a high percentage, 80-90% are relatively good kids, with the lower elements not being as prevalent. But when you're setting up a system that targets and incentivizes people of a low socioeconomic background, you're putting a higher percentage of bad kill. But the words are so imprecise, and I feel bad just saying them. But I hope people understand what I'm trying to say. No, not everyone from a poor background is going to be, a problem child or whatever. We're just talking broad statistics, and you're playing the averages, the percentages against your own program success.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe it will work. And, I'll eat humble pie, I'll eat crow. I don't care. But statistically, and especially with how our economy is doing, especially today, like even if we took away COVID, it wouldn't be that great. But especially with COVID lockdowns and businesses shuttering and blah, 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 you're going to start doling out $101 million for stupid programs like $10 a day nationalized daycare. Are you fucking kidding me?
No, we don't need.
We can't reinvest in hospitals. We pay a lot to our hospitals, but the quality of care is at times lacking. Yeah. Mostly because we don't enforce any sort of stringent policies. Like if you got the sniffles, don't go to the ER, dumbass.
Right.
You got a big gashing head wound? Yeah, go to the ER. Dimwit, you feel like chest pains, go to the ER.
Exactly.
But you got the sniffles? No.
Go to bed.
Get some rest.
Have a drink of water, get some soup, get some orange juice.
But this is all part of their downright socialist communist agenda, socialist communist global agenda. Who do we hear that from a lot? China. It's like we want to, Biden administration, Trudeau administration, they really are doing their goddamnedest to become more like China.
They really are. And I don't understand why. And what gets me is the people that sit there and shit on capitalism. Like, and the group that really makes me laugh that does it is disabled people. That shit on capitalism from the comfort, on their phones, and from their wheelchairs that capitalism
from the devices and medications they can take to get close. Yeah, sure. Some of us with disabilities will never get close to normal, but at least closer to normal, in the most scientific word of the use of the word. And all those inventions, from your walkers, your devices, to those medications, most of those were developed under a capitalist society that perpetuated that notion of advancement to not only help people, but also be recognized financially and monetarily for it. Oh, here we go.
So you know how we were just very generously given 1.5 million doses of that AstraZeneca vaccine from the US?
Apparently.
Yeah. So, Ontario is no longer going to be offering the first dose of the AstraZeneca vaccine.
I hope the article goes into what it means, because this is new to me. I haven't heard of this yet. And the wording is just weird. What do you offer?
So this says, Toronto, Ontario will no longer offer the first doses of the AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine due to an increase in reports of rare blood clots. Wait, an increase in reports of something that's rare?
Yeah,
then,
it's just
then
like
that
we were
makes
saying
it
about the
not
playground.
so rare, does it?
It's like 0.002% of the people who've been gotten that jab. Like, again, I'm not exactly, pro jab and pro, hyper in the cult of Fauci, but this seems like an insane thing when there are people clamoring who are high risk who do need these jabs.
Yeah, well, let's see what the rest of it says here. The announcement was made. Voiceover, what are you doing? The announcement was made by Ontario's Chief Medical Officer of Health, David Williams, on Tuesday afternoon. This decision was made out of an abundance of caution, Williams said. So you're admitting that you're jumping the gun. Okay.
It does seem a little weird that they worked with the United States to get these 1.5 million jabs, and then it happens to be the only one with the problems.
And they're not offering, and they've said they're not offering first doses, which means these are going to go to people who've already had
the initial
dose. So I guess they're planning
kind of makes sense.
I guess they're planning on getting more Pfizer.
But didn't the AstraZeneca CEO say that people might need to be getting boosters every year? At the very least, a third shot.
It was either the AstraZeneca or the Pfizer guy.
Okay.
I'm not sure which one it was.
Which, I mean, the entire thing to me, I hate to derail it for a minute, but it's just, it seems so much like a scam to me from everything I see that this is just rebranding and remarketing of a flu shot. Sorry, I don't mean to get too conspiratorial.
A lot of this, it's new technology for vaccines, right? It's RNA vaccine. It's not an actual dead virus vaccine like we would
the traditional style
use. So I mean, like, we don't know the long-term effects of that.
I'd for one really like to know what the commonalities are, other than they were women who got the rare blood clots.
Pincalo's sister, he put in chat last Friday, I think, that his sister was actually in the hospital for a blood clot due to the AstraZeneca shot.
Yeah, I was worried about Elwyn because she was getting the jab, and she does have a risk of blood clots. So to take something that would increase that risk, I was just telling her, be careful. That's something that has been, and you have a risk of blood clots normally, so you definitely don't want
the AstraZeneca one.
No, I think she's getting the Pfizer or the J&J.
Okay.
I don't know, whatever. You know how it works in Canada. You don't basically really get a say when you go to a clinic and say, I want the jab. And they say, do you want the AstraZeneca or the J&J? No, it's like, okay, we'll give you the jab. Which one? Is it AZ or is it JJ? And they'll be like, it's the jab.
It's a straw.
Excuse me? What happened to informed consent?
Yeah. It's a needle. Do you want it?
Well, I have an actual blood clotting problem, so I want to be sure I'm not going to get one that has shown to have some sort of reaction with blood clots. It's a jab. Yeah, okay, you can go fuck yourself.
So this says...
and yeah, sorry, thank you, Duck Dog. It is 0.00017% of blood clots.
Yeah. So it says... It is not that the risk to the individual has gone up extensively at this time, but because it is sometimes severe, we want to be cautious and say, let's pause it while we look at the data and information. Okay.
In principle, I am actually really happy that the federal government, the federal health agencies have done this with the jabs, because we didn't develop our own. And initially, when the vaccine rollout first started happening, we wanted to take a look at them first.
Yeah.
Because we have a very different setup from the FDA and approvals process. So we needed to do our own approvals process. Again, we covered this on Minions. And in principle, That's a good thing.
Yes. In principle, it is.
In principle, yeah. Like there, you know, when the mad cow thing was spreading, we took an extra step to ensure that beef being imported from the United States as well as other places was still safe.
Yes.
Just to be sure.
Yep.
Because, you know, we are an independent nation. There are foreign threats out there.
Absolutely.
Bad actors.
So this says the AstraZeneca vaccine was being offered to individuals aged 40 and up at numerous pharmacies across the province.
Mm-hmm.
According to the Chief Health Protection and Emergency Preparedness Officer, Dr. Jessica Hopkins, the risk of vaccine-induced thrombotic thrombocytopenia, I did it,
Yeah.
fit associated with the vaccine in Ontario is 1 in 60,000. Okay, so that's not...
Again, statistically, that's very good.
Yeah. Hopkins later clarified that as of May 8 Ontarians have developed blood clots related to the vaccine. So that's not too bad.
Mm-hmm.
8 Ontarians out of however many we have in the province, like 15 million or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
At this point in time, and given that we are seeing the overall case numbers of COVID-19 going down, and
Oh wait, we have the numbers going down, but Doug Ford just last Friday said they were still going up.
I know.
Who's right, BP? Who do we trust?
Nobody. Nobody.
Oh God.
I had to. And an increase of stop it, voiceover. An increase in the safety signal at a population level. It makes sense to pause AstraZeneca because the risk of severe outcomes with FIP, which is the thrombotic whatever, shouldn't be underestimated. At the same time, officials say that the AstraZeneca vaccine does provide significant protection from serious illness, hospitalization, and death related to COVID-19. We maintain that those received their first dose did absolutely the right thing to prevent illness and to protect their families, loved ones, and communities, Williams said, adding that Tuesday's announcement was the result of a safety signal flagged to health officials. Okay, so they were just...
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Pharmacies in the Greater Toronto... Select pharmacies in the Greater Toronto and Hamilton areas, as well as Ottawa and Essex, have started to receive Pfizer and Moderna vaccines. Okay. And there's pharmacies in where I live that are starting to receive the Pfizer. The pharmacy that's attached to my doctor's office has it. So yeah, that's just after we're given those doses. Ontario's like, nope, only the people who have already had their first AstraZeneca dose get that.
I'm sure in a week, they'll be like, okay, no, it's fine. The numbers look okay. I just hope that they allow people to have the informed consent. Like I said, if somebody has a clotting issue, especially if they're female, they will tell them, hey, this is the AstraZeneca one, and it has shown problems. So, informed consent, let them, know that has had, they are marginally statistically higher to contract some sort of complications from the jab. So maybe they should go to another, the pharmacy down the road or on the other side of your small town or whatever has the other jab, one of the other jabs. So go there. Okay. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, we've already vaccinated the most high risk people in Ontario.
As far
right?
as I know, yes, we've already
very old and
vaccinated
very
the
sick people.
seniors, the comorbidities, the
And
frontline
frontline.
workers.
Yeah.
So I think it's now becoming available to the general population, and they've lowered it to age 30 now, I think, for all of them.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
And holy shit, it's like 1:15 already.
Oh, jeez.
Time flies when you're ranting.
Well, we had fun today. We definitely
We did. We absolutely did, and I still have some stories left over for Friday, so that's awesome.
Cool.
And so that will be the end of the coffee stream. I'd like to thank you guys for watching, and of course, thank you, Functional, for joining me. It's always
Thanks
a
for
good
having
time.
me, as always. Yeah.
And catch me on Twitch tomorrow afternoon for Beat the Blind Girl. I'm gonna have the 6-year-old with me again to commentate because my mom has meetings in the afternoon tomorrow, so he's gonna be home.
Nice.
And it's really funny to listen to him commentate.
Backseat gaming.
So yeah, exactly. So catch me on Twitch tomorrow for Beat the Blind Girl, and I'll be on Minions as well with Prospero and the gang, and of course Star Trek on Saturday. We're gonna continue our Sex Among the Stars discussion. It'll be
Can't
fun.
get enough of your love, baby.
And on that note, guys, I will see you tomorrow on Twitch. Have a great one.
Take off, eh?